If your best friend asked you to describe the religion in Iraq, what would be your answer? Maybe you would tell about the terrorist groups. Maybe about hijabs and women's rights. I know that my answer would have described Islamic faith in one way or another. But you know what? 1 week can change a lot if you see things with your own eyes. In just 1 week, we have seen some of the world's oldest Christian communities, but also had a chance to get to know an ancient religion that sometimes has been called Satanism, and that is so secret that you could not be a part of it, even if you wanted to. Friends, for us today's adventure was a total coincidence. We had parked our caravan near a dried up river, close to the town of Tuhok, and in the morning we were woken up by the knock on our door by a security officer. He asked for our passports, and in return we asked the officer what are the most beautiful places around here that we should definitely see. He said that he was Yazidi, and for his religion, a town of Lalish is the most beautiful and sacred location on earth. What we heard from him was so intriguing that for the next 30 minutes we were researching and googling words like Lalish and Yazidi. And then, half an hour later, we were on our way to the holy city. The drive over there took about an hour, but on the way we realized that turns out problems all over the world are the same. Don't text and drive. And if you're not driving at the moment, make sure to follow us on Instagram, because that's where she posts the freshest travel news. And well, after this painting and few oil drilling sites, we had made it to a big gate, and after showing our passports, they let us through. Once again, a man in uniform with a big gun, but I guess we are now in one of the holiest places in the whole world, at least for one religion. It felt weird that less than 2 hours ago we had not even heard about that place. Yet now we were so excited to be here. And I guess the first thing we learned about Lalish was the fact that due to the holy status of Lalish, it has one big rule, and that is you can't wear shoes in there. So everybody goes in either in socks or barefoot. The reason for it is to show respect to the sacred ground, yet it also created a profound silence. You never really think of how much noise shoes make until you enter a place where everybody has to take them off. Lalish itself is really quite beautiful. The town is built of light-colored stones. And also, most locals and holy men are dressed in light colors, and this creates quite a warm atmosphere. Yazidis believe that Lalish was the place where our modern world started. Some say that it was where Noah's Ark landed after the biblical flood. Some others even connect it with more scientific approach and say that Big Bang, which created the universe, started from here. One thing for sure, for their religion, it is ground zero, the place where it all began. Hello! And due to this, at least once in their life, all Yazidis have to make a 6-day pilgrimage to Lalish. Yet there was still so much we did not understand about the life here. And then we met Vian. He was the first person we saw wearing black, and so he stood out like a stain on a white shirt. For some reason, he took us under his wing and started teaching us more about his secret religion. First we learned that there is about 1 million Yazidis in the whole world. Then about the religious traditions of how they tie and untie knots into silk fabric, and how all of them have to pay their respect to their most important religious teacher, Sheikh Mustafir. But for many things, Vian did not give us a straight answer. When I asked about the dozens of oil jars in the temple, he said that I have to wait until sunset to know the answer to this. And once I asked him if I could also be a Yazidi, he said no, nobody can join the Yazidis. It sounded extremely weird, knowing that this religion is hundreds, if not thousands of years old. Yet when I brought it out, he said that I would also find that out later on. From what we learned in the next few hours, I can say that Yazidi faith is something between Christianity, Islam and Judaism. There's one God, angels, and in a similar manner, it is connected to historic happenings like the Great Flood and Garden of Eden. Yet the one big difference is that the angel who in other religions was thrown out of heaven and who became the devil is not evil in Yazidi faith. He's actually one of the main angels responsible for what's happening on earth. And for this reason, Yazidis have on many occasions been called Satanists. And there has been more than 10 genocides that have targeted those people, latest of which in 2014, conducted by the ISIS. It was quite unbelievable to see that although those people have been through so much, they're still full of love and kindness. Everyone that we met on the streets of Lalish showed us nothing but warmth. We took pictures together, and quite a few families asked us to join them for a meal, which we kindly declined, as we had promised Vian that later on we would eat together with him and his family. I have to say that those 30 minutes walking the streets taught me so much about life. Yazidis are the perfect example that it does not matter what the world has done to you, but the only thing that does matter is how you respond to the world, and they do it with love and kindness. Revenge and violence, on the other hand, are the weapons of the weak and scared.
Good.
That's good.
After our walk, it was time to meet Vian and his family. As it turns out, this part of the city had no mobile reception. Together with it, we had suddenly lost Google Translate and our ability to communicate. We can't communicate in any language. We don't know any common languages, but it's just body language and kindness. It's so nice. It created an interesting situation. Vian's family was big.
Nah.
Locals seem to have really big families here. He has 7 kids. His dad over there had 13 kids. So it was much easier to communicate with the children. Playing games is truly a universal way to bond. Liisu also found the universal language of love to communicate with the younger members of the family. When it came to talking with the older members, we used smiles, exchanged gifts, It's good? They just asked us to their kitchen. Oh wow. Lamb? Nah. Nah. And well, also did weird noises to get our message across. And yes, I know that seeing a lamb's head in a pot might be off-putting to some, but here in Iraq, it is a delicacy. Finally, we all share the meal together. As you can see, there's no plates on the table. Everybody gets a spoon. I think it's the first family dinner for me without any plates. And although weird at first, I have to admit that such an eating custom was quite connecting, as everyone around the table shares everything without the concept of mine or yours. And yes, all the food, from marinated veggies to potato stew, rice and couscous, were delicious. And it was such an amazing insight for us into this small and unique culture. Once the meal and tea finished, we said our goodbyes. Bye bye, Subhash! And soon find reception to ask Vian about joining Yazidis. He laughed. Didn't you hear? I have 7 and my father has 13 children. The only way to become Yazidi is to be born one. As last things, he told us not to miss the evening fire show and that we should also drink the local water, because the water coming out of the ground here is holy. Then he left us at the doorstep of some holy men and left. Singing seems to be a huge part of Yazidi culture. It connects and helps to tell stories. And although we did not understand the word, it was beautiful to listen. Suddenly, from the corner of our eye, we saw a flash of light, and it began. Every night, 365 small lanterns are lit all over this holy city, symbolizing the light of the sun, one of the most important elements for Yazidi. To light those fires, the oil from the temple was used. It brought magic to the streets of Lalish. And out of the blue, we realized that everyone who we had met throughout the day had left. Turns out everyone we saw today was here to have a short picnic. They come here because it's a holy place, and now they leave, they go back to their homes. Permanently, only 1 or 2 families live here. And until the end of my life, I will never forget walking the empty streets of this holy city, thinking of what had I just learned during this one day and big coincidence.
We were supposed to be here only for 2 hours, but now it's basically been the whole day.
I got to know a religion that yesterday I didn't even know existed. But I also learned about forgiveness and compassion, about joy and happiness. But most of all, as an atheist, I learned how religion can be utterly good and beautiful thing, as long it's not forced onto someone, nor used as an excuse to do bad things. Oh, and if somebody's wondering, then yes, we loaded up our caravan with holy water. This place is supposed to have holy water, so this, my friends, was our adventure from Lalish.
The barefoot city.
We did not plan this ahead, just things started happening, and it's super cool that we're in Iraq and still we feel so safe and people are so welcoming, and I hope that you guys wanna join us on the next adventures as well, because, well, even we don't know what's gonna happen. Thank you for traveling with us, and we'll see you next time.